Hey guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome to another speed build. And today I have a very spooky cemetery for you in Forgotten Hollow. You'll see I'm working on two little tiny blocks right here in the very front. Trust me, they do come together, but for right now they just look like some strange little boxes. They end up being the makeup of the gate, basically. So one side has the bathrooms and the other side has a little office where you can check in and maybe set up your funeral arrangements, or if you're working on your own funeral and you're planning ahead, you can come here and like pick out a plot, you know, something like that. That was my idea. So we have the little boxes coming together, and I also added a little imaginary room up top so that I could do this kind of roofing situation. I thought that it would work well in the world of Forgotten Hollow because they have a lot of these types of roofs on their homes. And it did take me a second to really figure it out. I kind of played around with the angle on them for a while, and then I ended up, redoing the roof quite a few times. But here you'll see the final shape coming together. It was just ever so slightly more pitched, and then I added this base game fence up here at the top just because it was like a nice wrought iron fence, and a base game roof texture as well because I thought that looked nice. And then the roof trim from Lovestruck I thought looked really nice here because it has those little dangly things hanging from it, so I put those on as well, at least on the parts that are in the very front. The other parts of the roof have just a very flat area for their roof trim. And then in the front I had two little tiny fence pieces and also this debug archway that came with vampires. I thought that all of the pieces together looked really nice with keeping with the creepy theme that we had going on. Obviously all of the windows and the doors are from vampires. I also added some statues here in the front just behind the gate because I thought having these little gargoyles here standing guard at the gate would be quite fitting. And then the toilets are also from vampires as well as the sinks. I tried to do mostly vampires in here, but admittedly I don't really pay attention to packs, so sometimes I just go off the walls and use every single one. But here I decided to split the bathroom up because I didn't like how it was looking, and I decided to use one of each of these base game kind of dungeon looking doors to get into the bathroom. Maybe one's the men's room, one's the ladies' room, but I imagine them just being unisex, so it doesn't really matter to me. And then over here I am finally putting down some terrain paint just to map out the little walkway. I just used this lovely stone that came with Get Together, and then I pulled out some crypts and I put one on either side of the building because I thought it would be important to have a crypt on either side. It kind of helps with the shape of the building too without adding to the building itself. So I thought that would be a nice little touch. And then I added some benches from the Romantic Garden Stuff Pack in black. I thought that those looked nice. I don't think I've ever used those benches in black, so I thought that would be good. Also some debug landscaping. We have like that really out of control bush, and then also these trees here that have the stuff hanging from them. I just thought they looked really cool. One is a little bit sized down and the other one is its normal size. I tried to not be too symmetrical, but in all actuality I like symmetry, so I end up making things symmetrical even when I'm not intending to. I did also add a couple vines, but not too many. I didn't want it to actually look too overgrown because in my head this used to be Vlad's mansion on this lot, and I think what happened was he decided that he needed to downsize or for some reason move away from Forgotten Hollow, and he wanted his family lot to be turned into something that he could be remembered by and something that he could be proud of in Forgotten Hollow. So that is why this is now called the Straud Cemetery, and that is how it got its name. And yes, I realized that in my last video where I did a cemetery, I did spell cemetery wrong, so my bad. I didn't catch that right away, but then I was searching for other cemeteries as reference photos, and I realized that I had spelled it wrong the entire time. So my apologies if you couldn't find the video for some reason, or if you were searching for it and you couldn't find it. I made sure on this one that it was spelled correctly. I utilized our technology of spell check this time around. But I talked through almost everything, but I did pull out a bunch of headstones, some for vampires in that little cove over there where the plasma trees are. There are some grave sites. There are just little bunches of headstones everywhere. I just kind of wanted to look a little bit more freeform. It isn't quite so structured as the last one was, because again, this is like a newer cemetery actually, and I just didn't want it to be totally completely full at this point. I wanted you to have some room to bring your Sims here, if you know what I mean. And then I pulled out some more of these debug fence pieces and lined them up over here near the debug and live edit stone walls that I pulled out from Cottage Living, because I thought they were just creepy enough and they looked really nice here. Also, these poppies, or I guess they're technically labeled as peonies, they came out so pretty, and I put them everywhere. A nice little splash of red everywhere, as well as some statues, like a little angel statue and the fancy lady statue that I put near the Vampire's Cove where they are all situated. I thought that was a really nice touch. And more of this landscaping here. I was just kind of shuffling things around for a while until I found something that worked. And I also used this lovely fountain from Romantic Garden Stuff because I thought it was a nice little centerpiece. It gave us something right at the center of the lot and something to work from. And then I pulled out more of these stone walls from Cottage Living, and I tried to position them around the circle of terrain paint around the fountain so that I could sort of kind of make them into a low-lying fence. I took tool mod and I grabbed all those pieces and I just lowered them down until they were just ever so slightly peeking out, and I think that they worked out really well. I did play test this. My Sims had no trouble just walking around that space. I did leave the back of it open, so obviously, you know, your Sim won't step over the gate because they still see it as a full-size gate. It is not one of those debug and live edit items they can walk through, but there is enough space that I left open so they can get to both sides of the cemetery. They will just follow the path that I have made for them, so that is ideal. That is what we want. We want the Sims to do what we want them to do, correct? So I thought that was a fun little touch, and I also really love the use of these straight pieces of wall because you don't necessarily have to have them all the way lined up. Once you just lower them into the ground, you can barely even tell anyway, and I think it kind of adds a little bit of that like kind of creepy broken down look almost, and I just really enjoy that. So this is a new cemetery, but it's put together with pieces of an old surrounding building, I guess, is where I'm going with it. But I don't know. I was just having a lot of fun. I thought it was really cool to put a nice creepy cemetery in this world. It was just very on brand for Forgotten Hollow. And then later on in the video, you'll also see I pull out those little fog machines from the Party Essentials kit, and I put them like strategically in bushes and such to hide them, but you can still click on them to turn the lights on and off. I did not see any fog coming out of them though. I don't know if there's a reason for that, because the last time I used them there was definitely a little bit of fog coming out, but in this build for some reason it did not want to. It just didn't want to work. So they're there just in case. Maybe it's just my game that didn't want to register the fog coming out of the machines. Maybe I didn't have my settings correct. I'm not 100% sure, but they are there. So you probably won't see any fog in this video itself, but if you download it off the gallery, I'm sure that you will be able to test that out on your own. Otherwise, they're just kind of nice little backlights in the bushes, and either way, I think that that is a nice touch. So we have the path finally coming together all the rest of the way. I did leave a little bit kind of like leading out just to kind of blend in slightly, and then I added lots more of these clumps of grass and these white little flowers as well, just for like a little bit of color, a little bit of texture to the lot. It wasn't just all flat. I wanted to use the clumps of grass that we got in Cottage Living to make it look a little bit more grassy, but unfortunately the color on those is just so bright green. It didn't really go with the other colors that are on this lot. It's kind of like a muted green or like a darker brownish green, and the ones from Cottage Living were just way too bright. So I added some more of these potted plants as well. Those are also debug, I believe. And then some little yard lights I kind of scattered about just on the pathway because I thought that you would need those. And some more lights as well that I pulled out from Life and Death. They are on the two buildings on either side. Again, to just give a little bit more lighting, a little bit more something. There's also a casket over here where I'm adding these stepstones leading out of this crypt. My theory is that that is reserved for a memorial service. If you come and you don't necessarily have a casket of your own, it's kind of like a decorative casket that you can put on a pedestal for yourself if you're going to have the memorial service here in the cemetery. There's also a little table in the office, which you'll see in a little bit. That's like a memorial table. So you can always pull that out if you want to. If you're coming here, it's like already provided for you. I thought that that was a nice touch. Just a couple little things in case you need to have a funeral and you decide to have it here, but you may not have all of the things prepared. They have some here for you to borrow for your service. So I thought that was nice. Also love these little tiny lanterns that came in life and death. I put them on every single plot and next to almost every single headstone because they're just so nice. And they light up so pretty. And then, of course, I had to add some little flower arrangements next to them just to make it look like someone came here to visit and dropped off some little mementos and some little flowers. Thought that was nice. Here is the little office coming together, though. We have a desk from Life and Death, and then I use the chair from University, and then a base game computer, just a base game wallpaper, and also a plain flooring. And then this light from Cottage Living for the ceiling because I like it in black. It makes a very nice, welcoming light. Also, this couch is from University as well because I thought it just matched nicely. And then this little filing cabinet over here kind of acts as an end table eventually. There's that little memorial table I have just pulled out. Threw some candles on there, a little incense burner right in the front, and then I threw a lovely little golden urn off to the side and a couple flowers in here. I tried to keep this room really simple. I didn't want it to be too much. And I figure if you decide to come here, maybe you want to pretend that your sim works here, that's totally fine, and you can decorate it accordingly. But I did clutter up the desk a little bit. There's a lovely urn that's very ornate, and then there's a little pen set, a little notebook, maybe that's like the check-in book or something. I just thought it was really nice on this table. And that little pen set is a career unlock, I believe. I don't remember from which career though. I had to be creative with my placement just so that it was where I wanted it to be, and then it worked out just fine. Here we have a little wreath also on this little easel stand. I thought that was nice, so put one of those in here, and also another little plant over here in the corner. Like I said, try to keep it pretty simple, but I did want it to look like it was intentional. I didn't want it to just be a big empty room. And then I put a plaque up for this building, just saying that, you know, they are certified to host funerals and to bury your Sims, I guess. I don't know. And of course, a large photo of Vlad because that is required. He donated that to decorate the office with, so of course we have to use it. I love this large rug from Life and Death. I just had to size it down a whole bunch so it would fit in here. And now we are in the bathrooms. Like I said, the toilet and the sinks are from Vampires. The mirror is base game, and then the little hutch is from Life and Death, and I thought it looked really nice in here in that black swatch. Added just the same plant in both bathrooms, and then I decided the flooring could be this white terracotta tile that came with Love Struck, and this like wall hanging, I don't know what that is, a stone carving maybe, like some kind of emblem. It's a knight's helmet, but I thought it looked really nice, so I added that to the wall as well. And then we have some toilet paper rolls going up on each side, also a soap pump on each sink. And then I wanted something else over here so your Sims wouldn't clutter it up, so I just put a little flower arrangement on each side. I thought that that would be pretty nice. Now, I don't know what is up with this seating area in this bathroom, so don't ask me, but it just looked like a really nice spot to set up 2 chairs and a little end table and a light. Maybe this is like the family bathroom, so if 2 or more Sims want to come in here and freshen up, this is kind of like a more private section where the other Sims can sit, and then the other Sim can freshen up in the bathroom or use the toilet. I don't know how that would work. I don't think it would, but I don't know. I just thought it was a nice little spot, and I didn't have any other seating areas except for in the main office. And now you'll see I'm pulling out a bunch of debug and live edit signs and such and just putting them on the outside. I think that some of them say the name of the establishment. Maybe there's a little placard that they put up saying like who donated this land and why it was built or when it was built. And then just a little sign saying like we host funerals. Come here for all of your funerary needs. I don't know. So I kind of decorated it and just tried to keep the same theme. I did want it to look really creepy though, and I think at night it definitely does have that creepy effect. Also threw some of these gargoyles up here on the roof. I just moved them back slightly and added more grass clumps everywhere up along this back fence because again, I wanted it to look intentionally overgrown. I didn't want it to look too messy. Like it's still pretty fancy for a cemetery, but I wanted it to have a nice blend with the rest of the world. Also, those little mushrooms I put in from Cottage Living, I just love them so much. I only put them up against that one side of the fence because I didn't want to overdo it with the mushrooms, but come on, they're just so nice. And then some more of these clumps of grass right behind the bench. Again, I don't know. I was just having a lot of fun with all the landscaping and the terrain paint and all the new little items that we can get to memorialize our Sims. I've been having a lot of fun building with this. My only gripe is I really, really wish that the Reaper's Rewards didn't stop working. It'll just stop working at different phases, and then I have to go back and delete my data file thing, and then I have to start over sometimes. Sometimes it resumes right where I left off. I don't know what it's all about. I'm a little confused, but we're trying. So hopefully you guys got to complete the Reaper's Rewards, but I'm almost pretty much done with it. I don't really care anymore. I'm ready to move on. And here is the outside of the cemetery. There's a little bit of live mode footage in here for you just to get the basic feel. This is where I would have loved to see my fog machines working. However, they do not. So here's Lilith and Caleb Vitor just hanging out in the cemetery. You can see the plasma trees glowing and glittering right near the vampire headstones, which is fantastic. And then over here we have a lovely view of the fountain and that little section of the pet graveyard that is right inside the cemetery. I thought that was a nice little place to bury your pets. They can stay with you for all of eternity. And then over here is the crypt with the stepping stones coming out of it again, which I think is a nice little touch because, you can go explore the catacombs and the crypts, and I think that's a really cool and fun gameplay feature. I did have Caleb try his hand at that, and he did pretty well, but I think that's because he's a vampire. So I hope you enjoyed this one, guys. Let me know in the comments if you'd like to see something else, if you'd like to see more cemeteries or something completely different. I really appreciate the support. Please be sure to like and subscribe and tell your friends, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye, guys.